Welcome to Spiritual Ambition, where we tune in to awaken our divine nature and explore the provocative inner force compelling us toward our fullest potential. If you've achieved external success but feel a deeper calling, if you're tired of dimming your light to fit in, and you know there's a more powerful way to live and lead and love, you're in the right place. Host Donna Bond is a best-selling author, modern-day high priestess, and catalyst for personal transformation. Together, we're birthing a new paradigm of loving leadership, integrating our humanity with divine wisdom as our individual awakening serves collective evolution. Here's your host of Spiritual Ambition, Donna Bond.
Hello, everyone. Welcome in, welcome back, welcome. I don't know that I've ever given a proper shout out to Evelyn Brink. And I love listening to the intro to my show. And Evelyn Brink she's a coach. She helps you bring forward your authentic voice. You can check her out at evelynbrink.com, probably. But she was Madonna's she was Europe's number one Madonna impersonator. Sorry, I got to get it right. I feel all your energy coming in and it knocks the train off the track. Anyways, hearing her voice is like a pep talk for me. It's like, yay, we're going in, we're going live, we're going to do the show. So I've never really given her a proper shout out to say thank you. So thank you, Evelyn. I am Donna Bond, and this is Spiritual Ambition. You are watching episode number 15. And today our show is called The Perfectionism Prison, Breaking Free to Trust Your Sacred Expression. So we're going to travel today. We're going to go from perfectionism to sacred expression, and we're going to shoot holes in perfectionism. And we are going to realize that the whole thing is a made up sham. What do you know about that? So if you're ready to stare your perfectionism in the eye and letting go of the stories that you have connected to perfectionism and your worthiness, or perfectionism and, getting it right or being loved, this is the show for you. So we're going to take a soul trip today, and you might remember Soul Tripp is TRIPP, which stands for teaching, intention, or ritual, intention, practice, process. Is that right? I can't even get it straight. Before we begin anything, we're going to call in the light so I can ground myself. Welcome in, Sori Sawyer. Hello. So lovely to see you. KB, welcome back. Jennifer McCormick, thank you for being here. You're such a fan. All right, sending out big love to anyone who might be scrolling through the socials, and do a stop right here. Spiritual Ambition, where we awaken to our divine nature through experience. And today we're going to do some inner reflection. Traveling this path from perfectionism into sacred expression. But wherever you are, unless you're driving a car or operating heavy machinery, I want to invite you to just close your eyes for a moment and just settle your energy. Take a nice deep breath inward and just let that go. It's okay, actually, to let yourself be in the silence. It's okay to let yourself step out of the fray and into your own heart, feeling what it's like to be in your body, and just sending a blessing of gratitude to your entire being, to your heart for pumping blood through your veins without being asked, to your breath for just being there, available to you. You don't have to schedule it or plan it or think about it. It's part of the divine unfolding of you. Infinite universe, we call ourselves forward once again into your loving. We ask to be cleared, filled, surrounded, and protected with the clear white light of living love. We ask that any karma, negativity, imbalance, any distress, discomfort, dis-ease, any energy or vibrational frequency that is vibrating at anything less than the frequency of divine loving, that may be residing anywhere in our consciousness, mentally, physically, emotionally, subconsciously, or energetically. We ask that all of that just now be lifted and transmuted, carried to the highest realms of light and sound, and dispersed back into the nothingness. Into this space, we're left with grace and light and peace and love and all of the expressions of love, compassion, aliveness, upliftment, creativity, enthusiasm, inspiration, flow, effortlessness, all of the things that we think that we're out looking for in the physical world, we notice just now they're all here within us, hidden underneath the turbulence and the noise and the struggle. We acknowledge and we welcome all of those divine beings of light who love each one of us unconditionally, who work for the divine plan and who work for the light. We welcome only you into our sacred space here today. We ask for your support and assistance in bringing forward healing, revelation, and wisdom of the heart that will resonate most profoundly with each individual here for their highest good and the highest good of all concerned. We are grateful to take a time out, to tune in, to remember our truth, our essence, and remembering why we chose to take a body, to come here to planet Earth and make our way through this epic human adventure. For this and more, we say thank you. So be it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. So one of the first things that we do on this show is we send light to anyone who might need love and upliftment. And this is our sacred circle of light. If you would like to submit a name for someone to receive this sacred light and this collective intention that we all hold together, you can go to spiritualambitionsacredlight.com. I forgot to give you that one, Kelly, but nonetheless, spiritualambitionsacredlight.com. And you can just submit the name of anyone, or you can just drop it right here in the chat. But this is the opportunity for our community to join our collective intention for upliftment and to send our love and light around the world to people who might need it most. So I do have some names here that I would like to speak out loud. We're sending light today to David, to Don, Celia, Betty, Bob, all parents everywhere. Just that deep appreciation for our parents, remembering that they're all doing the best that they can in any moment. So we just send them all our love. And any names that are in the chat. Hello, Len, Nikki, welcome. We're including Eric, David, Stormy, and Fran. We're including Connor, Elliot, and Harley. And in this moment, we just ask that the light be sent up ahead to everyone mentioned here. Thank you. Mike, Lisa, Jennifer, Richard, Carol, Will. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your collective intention. We underestimate the power that we have in sending our love and sending our light to anyone at any time on the planet. So remember this, that you can do this at any time. You can even ask for the light to come to you if you are needing some support, some upliftment, some enthusiasm. All right. Well, today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, perfectionism. And, I think we have sort of idealized the perfectionist, because I know when I was in corporate land in my olden days, I would be proud of the fact that I thought that I was a perfectionist. And I live with a perfectionist who I love and adore immensely. And I still recognize sort of those perfectionistic tendencies within myself. But the truth is that perfectionism is a shadow aspect. And it's a shadow aspect that, in my experience, has become habitual for a lot of us. And the reason that it's become habitual for a lot of us is because it originated in childhood. And when we were younger, we would do things to try to please our parents. We would do things to get attention, to get accolades, to get noticed, to get seen, to be heard, and most of all, to be loved, to feel that we were worthy of love. So we want to recognize straight away that these patterns developed at a very early age, but we grew on and we grew up and we kept carrying them with us. And somewhere in our psychology, we have associated this idea of, if I can just get it perfect, if I can just make it right, if I can just make it great, then I can relax. Then I'm going to get paid. Then I'm going to be seen. I will be heard. And again, this underlying misinterpretation, I will be loved, So this is really like so deeply connected to our sense of self-worth. And today we're going to shatter it. We're going to blow it up, because it's not really true. It's not really true. High achievers have learned about this in early life, and they have entangled their self-worth into their performance, because we're still practicing this today in so many circles, right? Like, only if you get it right, do it perfect, do you get the praise and the attention and the approval. So we're all constantly trying to excel, but to excel in this way that we hold in our mind as perfect. This is really a mechanism as a survival strategy. And because we're still rewarding perfectionism with all of the things that I mentioned, it helps perpetuate it. But what it does when we uphold that, and when we buy into it, and when we believe in perfectionism, is we are constantly setting ourselves up for failure. And the way that we set ourselves up for failure is not recognizing that perfectionism is totally an illusion. And we're holding ourselves to a standard around something that we can't even really define. So just take that in. We're holding ourselves to a standard around something that we can't even really define. And so in that right there, as we hold ourselves to it, we're going to always fail. We're going to always come up short. And as we come up short again and again and again, because we're trying to measure ourselves against something that doesn't even actually exist, we beat up on ourselves. We end up feeling bad about ourselves. We end up in self-sabotage, in self-doubt, in self-criticism, in self-blame, and in self-judgment. When the truth is, we're trying to reach something that we don't even know what it is that we're reaching. It's all very amusing. I do it. You do it. We've all done it. We've all been caught in it. So what I'd like to do today is I'm going to take us on a little soul trip. And in the soul trip, we're going to move from perfectionism to this free expression. We're going to move from perfectionism to the truth of our unconditional loving. And so I have some contemplations for you. And Kelly's going to drop the link in the chat. You can go and download this. I've got these beautiful handouts. There's room for you to write your notes. And this is going to be a beautiful journaling activity. You can go to, decode your divine purpose. That's what I was supposed to be talking about. Hold on 1 second. Let me talk a little bit about Decode Your Divine Purpose before I have you download the Soul Tripp. Thank you, Kelly. I have a workshop coming up next week. It starts on Tuesday, and it's called Decode Your Divine Purpose. And what we will be doing in Decode Your Divine Purpose is just that. We're going to use the biggest challenges that we've had in our life experiences as a way to decode the soul lesson plan that we are moving ourselves through in life. And I have some really beautiful journaling prompts, some partner processes, some solo activities that are going to guide you through kind of like an excavation of really understanding the biggest events that have repeated themselves in your life over and over again, and trying to identify what are the themes in these events and what are those themes inviting me into for learning and growth and evolution. And perfectionism might be a theme for you. This is just randomly the show that we are talking about today, and this ego pattern that we're talking about today. So if you would like to do a little inner work, I would love to be your guide. And I have this beautiful 3-part workshop series ready to go. We have, I think, about 10 people in the workshop already. Join us. We're going to be on Zoom. It's not going to be a webinar situation where you're not going to get to engage with me. There's going to be live coaching in the room, and we're going to have a full-on experience of you uncovering more of your divine purpose through understanding the challenges in your life. So if you're in challenge right now, or you find yourself sort of repeating the same challenge over and over again, this is definitely the workshop for you, because this is where we're going to break into and decode what it is your soul is attempting to assist you in learning. So you can go to decodeyourdivinepurpose.com. Kelly, thank you for the reminder. All right, I wanted to speak about that. Let's change gears, go back to perfectionism. And I want to invite you to get the Soul Tripp handout. So you can go to Spiritual Ambition Soul Tripp with 2Ps.com, and you can download these beautiful worksheets. You can do it now, you can do it later, you can just tune in to what I'm guiding you through, and you can save it for later, or you can do it now. So we're going to take 3 trips. And the first one is what we were talking about with this worthiness and the recognition of worthiness and understanding where this lands in your consciousness. So here's the transformation that we're going to go on from I must be perfect to be worthy of love to knowing deeply that I am loved unconditionally by the divine, and therefore I'm free to be authentically imperfect. So we're moving from this idea that I must be perfect to be worthy of love into I am loved unconditionally. Therefore, I am free to be authentically imperfect. So here's the question for you, and you can even close your eyes and tune in to like deeply listen to this. What if my soul chose this human experience with all of my perceived flaws and quirks as the perfect way for unconditional love to express itself uniquely through me as me? And I'll read it again. What if my soul chose this human experience with all of my perceived flaws and quirks as the perfect way for unconditional love to express itself uniquely through me as me? So I just want you to feel into the possibility that what you have been trying to perfect is actually your new, unique expression of love expressing through you. What would you embrace about yourself if you knew that your imperfections were intentional design elements of your divine expression? Think about that. Intentional design elements of your divine expression. So when I think about this for myself, I immediately am brought to the things about my unique expression that I judge. I have the shadow of provocation, which means intentionally or unintentionally, I have the ability to provoke people, to trigger people. And in earlier days, when I was sort of unconscious around that, it was kind of clumsy and dangerous and messy for myself and other people. But as I have learned more about this big energy that I have and the way that I can direct that big energy, the more mindful I have become about honing that big energy. So that big energy that I have is part of my unique quirk, right? But if I am trying to be perfect, I might have the misunderstanding in my mind that I got to pull that in. I got to hold that together. And believe you me, I have spent a lot of time pulling it in and holding it together, more than you can even possibly imagine. So this is an invitation for you in this moment. And go ahead and like Drop it in the chat if something comes forward for you. What is something that you may be judging about yourself, about your unique quirks and flaws that really is part of your authentic expression? Thank you, Jess. Loving this topic. I appreciate that. Dario, hello from Italy. Again, welcome back. It's so good to have you here. Kelly, yes, it's important to continue letting go. Letting go is so much the answer. Deep feeling and rebellious. Jess, thank you for your response. So Jess is identifying that she has deep feelings and she can be rebellious, right? So if we are experiencing deep feelings and we're leaning in to that rebellion inside of us, my God, what a gift. What a gift for all the people around you, Jess. What a gift to the world to have your authenticity, to have your unique expression. And, you know, I want to say something about deep emotion and deep feeling. We have been taught to be afraid of our emotions. As a matter of fact, the name of this commercial, I don't remember what it was a commercial for. I think it was a commercial for deodorant. And I don't know if there's anybody who is old enough on the call to have remembered this, but there was this slogan, never let them see you sweat. And we grew up on that. You know, those of us who grew up in the 70s and the 80s, never let them see you sweat. And this is sort of underpinning this idea of perfectionism. So we had to keep our shit buttoned up all the time. There was no room for emotion. And I'm trying to remember. Suri Sawyer, if you're out there and you remember this, drop it in the chat. When women were emotional back in the 1920s, they branded them as being psychotic is not the right word. They did a movie about this. Hysteria. Anyways, when women felt their emotions back in the 1920s, they got locked up for it. I mean, these things really happened. And so we have been conditioned for so long to keep our shit in check. And listen, I am not saying by any means that we're to walk into a professional situation and just unleash our emotions. That is not going to serve anyone. It's not going to solve any problems. It's not going to really benefit anyone. But when we can start believing that our emotions are giving us information that we need about ourselves, about the world, about how we're navigating life, they become really important. And then we can stop suppressing them. And when we can stop suppressing them, then we are more authentically ourselves. When we're more authentically ourselves, it's because our true essence is coming forward. Our soul is coming forward. And our soul is comprised of the energy of love. So this is how we go from I must be perfect to be worthy of love into I am loved unconditionally by the divine. Not only am I loved unconditionally by the divine, I am love, the love of the divine. And therefore, I am free to be authentically imperfect. Whew. Can you feel the heat coming in? Jess, thank you for your shout out. All right, that was our first exploration. the worthiness recognition. Feel into the possibility that what you've been trying to perfect is actually your unique expression of love, expressing through you as you. Somebody made up the definitions of what we think or bought into as being perfect. It's bullshit. Break the mold. Break the mold right here, right now. Just be you. What would you embrace about yourself if you knew your imperfections were intentional design elements of your divine expression? For your deep contemplation today, you can download the handout, go to Spiritual Ambition, Soul Tripp, SoulTripp.com, and you can download the handout. All right, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to our next opportunity, which I'm calling the impossible standard story. Anybody know that one? Impossible standards, where we hold ourselves and others. Whew, I'm super guilty of this one. We hold ourselves and others to impossible standards. And again, these impossible standards, if we are really challenged with being able to articulate what those standards are, chances are we can't, because we don't really know. So this is a little bit of a cop-out, to be honest, because we haven't really articulated what the standard is, but we hold it in this place of impossibility, which is right up there, married to perfectionism. So this transformation, we're going from there's only one right way to do something, and I need to figure out what that is, and I need to nail it perfectly, to the truth, which is perfection is an illusion. Perfection is an illusion. And my path and your path is a sacred, non-linear unfolding. It's not a strategic plan. Your life is not a strategic plan. Your soul's purpose is not a strategic plan. You know, we get wrapped into the idea of our life as a strategic plan because we've been locked into the framework of our workplaces and our corporations and our societies and our governments and large organizations that are trying to keep order and make sense and feel safe. And we get that, and it's all okay. It's all okay. But we get to remember right here in this moment, perfectionism is an illusion. It's an illusion. It's made up. It doesn't exist. It's make-believe. Your path and my path is non-linear, and it's an unfoldment. It's an unfoldment that is including grace. And grace is the touch of the divine. It's not something that we can plan for or on or schedule or control. It's something that simply unfolds. So here's the question. And again, you can close your eyes and you can just take this in. Where am I exhausting my human mind trying to figure out the right way when my soul plan unfolds through sacred, nonlinear, higher intelligence that my ego could never orchestrate? This is a key. Perfectionism is an ego pattern. So the ego buys into this misunderstanding that perfectionism is possible, but it isn't really. The other rub here is that the soul is perfect and the ego is threatened by that. So the ego wants what the soul has, but it can never get it. It can never have it. So I want to tell you a little story about this. And again, I'm going to give you the question one more time. Where am I exhausting my human mind trying to figure out the right way when my soul plan is going to unfold through a sacred, nonlinear, higher intelligence that my ego could never orchestrate? KB, overthinking. Jess, looking for answers outside of yourself. Yeah, these are all great examples of how we play these games inside of ourselves. So I want to tell you a little story about something that my ego couldn't orchestrate. And I wanted to find love in my life. And, we can do a lot of things. We can go out on dates and we can make lists and dream up our perfect partner. I was doing those things, but none of them were actually working. I was on Match.com. Back in 2008, I was the West Coast VP of sales and marketing for a little hospitality company called Sunstone Hotels. And that year, the company had an all expense paid trip where whoever met their revenue objectives for the year and their RevPAR goals, whoever hit their budget got to go on this all expense paid trip to Cancun, Mexico. It was a sales trip. And I had so many people in my region who achieved their revenue targets and they got to go on this trip. And there was a West Coast vice president, who was me, and there was an East Coast vice president. And that was it. There was just the two of us. And we divided up the map of the country based on the hotels that we oversaw. Well, both of us met our revenue targets that year. We both met our market share targets that year. But the East Coast vice president achieved his revenue targets just a little bit more than I achieved my revenue targets. And he got to go on this all expense paid trip to Cancun, Mexico. Well, listen, I was furious. And it wasn't like I didn't make my revenue target. I achieved the goal and then some, making millions of dollars for these hotels and for this company. But I wasn't permitted to go on this trip because the other guy had his numbers a little bit higher than mine. Well, listen, I was in everybody's office. I was in my boss's office. I was in his boss's office. I was in his boss's office, really saying, listen, we're a small organization. I have given you my blood, sweat, and tears, and I want to go on this trip. Why can I not go on this trip? Well, I didn't get to go. And I was pissed off about it the entire time for months because the year-end results came in and then the trip didn't happen until the spring, like April, right? So April comes and it seemed as if everybody in the entire company was in Cancun, Mexico, except for me and human resources. And we are at the corporate office in San Clemente, California, holding down the fort while everybody else is in Cancun, Mexico, having like an amazing time on this all expense paid trip. Well, that week, I went out on a blind date. And the guy that I went out on a blind date with, I married him. We're still married. 18 years later, we're still married. So I just want you to see the divine orchestration that has unfolded as a result of that. Because if I had been on that sales trip in Cancun, Mexico, which would have been perfect, right? Where I thought I should have been, according to my rules, according to how I saw the world, maybe I wouldn't have met my husband, and maybe we wouldn't have gone out on that date. And then I wouldn't have been married for the past 18 years to the same guy. So I just share this with you so that you can scan your own life and tune in to some of the divine orchestration and the divine unfolding that's happening for you, which will give you the confidence to relax your grip. Thank you, KB. Yes, this is divine timing. So again, we're moving from there's only one way, and I have to know what that one way is. I got to figure out, I got to nail it, to really knowing that perfection is an illusion, and my path and your path is this sacred, non-linear unfolding and not a strategic plan. So notice where you're trying to mentally construct a perfect path while your soul is inviting you into an organic unfolding. What happens when you stop trying to figure it out and start trusting what wants to unfold organically? What wants to unfold organically? Yeah, beautiful. Again, if you want to download the handout, you can go to Spiritual Ambition Soul Tripp with 2 P's.com. All right, I have one more contemplation for you, which is the invitation to sacred trust. And this transformational journey, we're going to move from I must control the outcome through my perfectionism and efforting to I trust the divine intelligence of all life as it's unfolding through me. I trust the divine intelligence of all life as it's unfolding through me. So I'm going to take you back to what we were looking at in the first example with judgment and the judgment that we hold sometimes of ourselves and others, and where we determine what's okay and what's not okay, what's right and what's wrong. I want to invite you to let all of it go. I want you to let all of it go. And as you can relinquish your judgment to all of it, we free ourselves to just be in the moment as it's unfolding, however it looks. However it looks. And here's the question. Go ahead, close your eyes for just a minute. Take this in. Jennifer, I'm just reading your comment. Divine timing brought my love early on in my life, and he passed so young at 41. Oh, I'm deeply sorry. And you have 3 beautiful sons. 3 years in November. Oh, blessings. Blessings to you. My father died at the age of 44. So I really hear you. And I have 2 younger sisters. So we were 3 children who went through something very similar. And my heart is going out to you. And, you know, there are gifts and blessings that I know that you know that couldn't have come about without this event. You know, maybe Decode Your Divine Purpose might be perfect alignment for you. because it can help you really see the gifts and the blessings that are threaded through a really difficult experience. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, we're going to go to the Sacred Trust invitation, and I'm going to invite everybody to close their eyes again for just a moment. Here's the question. If the same intelligence that grows my hair, beats my heart, and orchestrates the seasons is also orchestrating the unfolding of my sacred soul plan, what would I stop trying to perfect and start just allowing to unfold? I'll read it again. If the same intelligence that grows my hair, beats my heart, and orchestrates the seasons is also orchestrating my sacred soul plan, what would I stop trying to perfect and start allowing to unfold? So for me personally, over the last year, really, I have dealt with some deep emotional discomfort that came through as a result of loss and betrayal and secrets. And it really kicked up some very deeply challenging emotions that I had to face and look at. And it also kicked up some personal patterns within myself that were really calling for my love and attention. And once I began allowing my emotions, my emotional body to express the pain, to express the anger, to express the sadness, to express the mourning and the grief and the despair. Once I gave myself permission for the allowing of that, instead of trying to straighten up and fly right, trying to keep my shit together, trying to be all perfect, once I started allowing the natural expression, things started to clear. Things started to move on. And I was able to then get my footing back, able to get my sovereignty back. But that wasn't going to happen as long as I was trying to push this stuff down and not look at it. So feel into the profound intelligence already operating through your body and your life. What perfectionist control would you surrender if you truly trusted that this same divine intelligence knows exactly how to unfold your sacred soul plan with perfection? That this divine intelligence knows how to unfold your purpose with perfection. Real perfection, not ego perfection, not the perfection that's an illusion. If the same intelligence that grows my hair, beats my heart, and orchestrates the seasons is also orchestrating my life, what would I stop trying to be perfect with And what would I start allowing to unfold? The key to all of this is letting go of our self-judgments, letting go of the definitions that were given to us by someone else, the definitions of society, the definitions that were given to us by someone else. Yeah, just feel into that. You're a unique, individualized expression of divine love. And you doing you, being you, expressing as you. There is no right way to do that because there's only you. Tune in to your beautiful expression and just allow it to be however it wants to be. And, I kind of want to say, like, F everybody else. The people who will gravitate towards you will gravitate towards you. The people who see near you, they'll naturally be drawn and magnetized to you when you're in your own natural flow. All right. Well, I hope that you found this helpful. If you want to download the worksheets, you can go to spiritualambitionsoultrip.com and get the worksheet for yourself. All right. Last but not least, we have the celebration of love's alchemy. This is our gentle pause to recognize the extraordinary magic woven through our everyday lives. And every episode, we take a moment of loving celebration for something that might seem ordinary or even contrary at first glance, but holds within it a spark of brilliance as we celebrate and remind ourselves why we chose to take a body and come here to human land. From the sweetness of a juicy orange to the blessing of an emotional trigger, we turn our attention to the less obvious causes for celebration and the little things that we may take for granted. Through loving appreciation and gratitude, we uplift ourselves and our vibration with the power of love, sending ripples of good juju out and across the planet. As alchemists of upliftment, I love that, alchemists of upliftment, we're turning the seemingly ordinary into marvels of magnificence as we see the whole human experience as the alchemy to our wisdom, the whole human experience as the alchemy to our wisdom. So I'll give you one guess what we are going to bring our love to today. Imperfection. We're going to bring our love to imperfection. And so here are some examples of imperfection that I think you might find resonant in your own life. Messy beginnings. So here's an invitation to celebrate wobbly first steps or shitty first drafts or the courage to start before you feel like you're really ready. Honoring every single masterpiece began as a beautiful mess. So messy beginnings, that is an example of an imperfection. Learning curves. Celebrate the stumbles and the failures, quote unquote, the times that you didn't know what you were doing, recognizing that these are all sacred invitations. Right now, I am trying to learn a new system in my business. And man, I do not want to learn it. I do not want to think about it. It is making my head hurt and taking me out of my comfort zone. And It's good because I'm developing new neural pathways in my brain and I'm keeping my mind active and activated as I learn something new. So celebrate the learning curve. There's a lot of imperfections in that. Divine timing. We already talked extensively today about divine timing. All of the times that things didn't go according to plan and all of the gifts that got delivered as a result of that, there's so many in your life. I challenge you to look at them. Send me an email if you find some. You can send me an email at donna@donnabond.com. I would love to hear about the divine timing in your life. Unfinished projects. Here's another one, right? We always want to scold ourselves or wrong ourselves and say that we're imperfect when we don't finish something. But I want to invite you here to celebrate all of the things that you started and never completed, not seeing them as failures, but as explorations that taught you something about yourself, your life, your path, about what you like and what you don't. I don't know where, again, this is probably a childhood pattern. Our parents were like forcing us to have to finish something. We got to finish everything that we start. Why? Why? That is just a belief system. So when we're forcing ourselves to be arduous with something, it's no fun. And we already talked about our authentic quirks. This is my other celebration for imperfection. Celebrate those parts of you that you've tried to fix or that you thought were broken and recognize them as your unique expression. Your soul's essence is irreplaceable. It is undefinable. It is divine perfection. It's divine perfection. However, it shows up through you, as you. You're watching Spiritual Ambition. Oh, I want to tell you about what's happening next episode because I have a very special guest, Teresa Warnstaff, who is a really incredible psychic and facilitator. And she's going to come talk to us about the Global Evolutionary Summit, which is about awakening consciousness, activating potential, and elevating humanity. And I'm super excited to have a conversation with her because she is up to some very cool things. And I'm actually going to be part of her Global Evolutionary Summit. So we're going to tell you all about that and how you can attend and participate and meet some other really cool practitioners and facilitators. Don't forget about decodeyourdivinepurpose.com. You can read all about it. I would love to have you in my workshop. We're going to just close our sacred space here today. So we just ask that the light be sent up ahead to everybody's freed expression, just letting go of any patterns of perfectionism that are no longer serving or supporting us. Just knowing that there is no right way, there is no perfect way. And when we can free ourselves from that limitation, we expand and express and explore, showing up in our life authentically and from the heart. We are now closing all energetic lines of communication between any of us, closing all open portals, gateways, channels, agreements, and lines of communication between any of us and the spirit world. We are so grateful for the opportunity to come together and do this work. For this and more, we say thank you. So be it. Blessings of love to each of you. We are closing the show in love, with love, for love, by love, as love. This is Spiritual Ambition, and I'm Donna Bond. Thanks for being here.